What if I told you that the future of air combat no longer depends on runways, pilots and cockpits, or even traditional air bases? What if air power could launch from a space smaller than a pickleball court, fly farther than most manned fighters, carry the same weapons as an FA-18 or F-35, jam enemy radar like an EA-18G Growler, and do it all without a single human on board? That future is not theoretical, it already exists. This is XBAT, also known as Expendable Piloted Airborne Tactical Aircraft, developed by Shield AI, and it represents one of the most disruptive shifts in military aviation since the advent of the jet engine itself. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Global Intel Network.
Today, we are not just looking at a new aircraft. We are witnessing a fundamental change in how air power is generated, deployed, and survived in modern warfare. The strategic problem, why XBAT was built to solve. For decades, modern air forces have relied on massive, centralized air bases and aircraft carriers. These installations host billion-dollar infrastructure and fleets of fighters parked wingtip to wingtip. In past wars, that model worked. In future wars, it becomes a liability. Pentagon war games have repeatedly shown a grim reality. In a peer conflict against nations like China or Russia, more aircraft may be destroyed on the ground than in the air. Long-range precision missiles, anti-access and area denial systems, and persistent surveillance mean that fixed runways and carrier decks are now prime targets. Disable the runway and the entire air wing is neutralized without firing a single air-to-air missile. XBAT sidesteps this vulnerability entirely. It does not need a runway. It does not need a control tower. It doesn't even need a traditional airbase. It launches vertically from roads, ships, clearings, containerized pads, and austere forward positions, turning dispersion into survival and unpredictability into deterrence.
The reveal. What makes XBAT different? On October 21, 2025, in a secure hangar outside Washington, D.C., a select audience of military leaders, government officials, and tech executives watched as the curtain lifted. There it stood, balanced improbably on its tail, a sleek, midnight black aircraft with a cranked kite stealth profile and no visible cockpit. Shield AI's co-founder summed it up perfectly. Air power without runways is the holy grail of deterrence, and XBAT delivers exactly that. Design and propulsion, a fighter, not a drone. At first glance, XBAT may look like just another unmanned jet, but that assumption collapses quickly. This is not a disposable drone, it is not a flying missile truck, and it is certainly not cheap or expendable in the traditional sense. XBAT is powered by a combat-proven General Electric F-100 or F-110 class afterburning turbofan, the same engine family used in the F-15 and F-16. This is a deliberate and critical choice. Most collaborative combat aircraft rely on business jet engines, optimized for efficiency, but limited in burst performance. XBAT, by contrast, can call on afterburner thrust when needed, enabling rapid dashes, high-energy missile launches, and aggressive maneuvering. Just as importantly, military engines generate enormous electrical power, and XBAT needs it, because this aircraft is not just flying, it is thinking. Vertical launch and thrust vectoring. XBAT's most visually striking feature is its tail-sitting vertical takeoff and landing capability. It launches straight up like a rocket, using full three-dimensional thrust vectoring, a capability that goes beyond even the F-22's two-dimensional system.
This allows XBAT to hover, balance, transition to forward flight, and recover vertically without runways. There is no concern about pilot blackout, no G-limit imposed by human physiology. XBAT can maneuver at the edge of what the airframe can physically tolerate. And unlike the F-35B, whose vertical operations can damage runways and decks, XBAT uses a dedicated blast-shielded launch system, allowing repeated operations from austere surfaces. In practical terms, this means that any flat surface becomes an airbase. A road, a ship deck, a jungle clearing, a containerized pad hidden in plain sight. Range and altitude, strategic reach. Vertical launch usually implies short range. XBAT destroys that assumption. Despite its VTOL design, XBAT boasts a combat radius of over 2,000 nautical miles, operating at altitudes around 55,000 feet. At these heights, fuel efficiency improves, sensors see farther, and missiles become dramatically more lethal. High and fast launches extend missile range, energy, and kill probability, a principle that defined legends like the F-14 and F-15. XBAT can shape the battlesphere long before manned fighters ever cross a border.
Hivemind AI, the real pilot. At the core of XBAT is its true superpower, Shield AI's Hivemind. This is not an autopilot. It is not remote control. It is not dependent on GPS or constant data links. Hivemind is a fully autonomous mission AI that can launch, navigate, fight, adapt, and recover entirely on its own, even in GPS-denied, jammed, or degraded environments. It has already proven itself in real-world operations and autonomous dogfight trials, including flights on modified F-16s. It processes the observe, orient, decide, act loop at machine speed, constantly reassessing threats and opportunities. And perhaps most importantly, it scales. One human operator can supervise multiple XBATs, each acting semi-independently while coordinating as a swarm. One suppresses radar, another jams communications, a third executes precision strikes. This is not micromanagement. This is orchestration.
Cost and strategic impact. Then there's the economics. A single fifth-generation fighter can cost $100 million or more before training, maintenance, and infrastructure. XBAT's estimated unit cost is closer to $27 million, with dramatically lower life cycle and personnel requirements. That means 3 or 4 XBATs for the cost of one manned fighter. For allies and smaller nations, this is transformative. It allows credible air power without massive investment. For adversaries, it creates a targeting nightmare. You cannot destroy what you cannot predict. Conclusion: why XBAT matters. XBAT is not just another aircraft program. It is a preview of a future where air power is decentralized, autonomous, and brutally resilient. It represents deterrence through dispersion, survivability through unpredictability, and dominance through intelligent systems working together at machine speed. The era of the AI fighter has begun, not in theory, not on paper, but in the sky. If you want more deep dives like this, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to support long-form analysis that goes beyond the headlines, consider becoming a channel member. Thanks for flying along. I'll see you in the next one.